Now to try to point that end a little bit and make sort of a leaf shape, stretch it out, flatten it out, do the whole shebang. At the very least, make something less sharp and slightly more decorative, which isn't a very high bar on either of those. Need to learn how to use the chisel properly before I go getting a good one. We have a sort of a snake head now. Progress. Alrighty, that's going to have to be it, eh? I do not like that fishtail that is kind of closed together. You can see the little chunk in the end there. Okay, that's kind of starting to get there. I think I just need more of a stem-like atmosphere on that end. Yeah, we might be able to make this work and look okay for a first timer. Oh hey, maybe. My brain's trying to do too many things at once and get too fancy in my ideas. Ideas? Hey. Oh, this can't go wrong, yeah? That kinda looks about right, eh? Kinda. Not perfect, of course, but, you know. We aren't aiming for perfection because we can't do that. This would be a lot easier to work with if this was a little bit out of the way. Ah, crap, bad time to lose hold on that. Oh, here it goes, cooling off. Can we muscle that apart without messing up too much? Doesn't feel like it. Brute force my fat ass, come on you. That will make that much easier to work with, even just that little bit right there. Alright. Alright, we can work with that. Okay, that's not quite as hot as it looked. We need to work on getting this back where it belongs now. Maybe? Or maybe I should finish decorating my leaf a little? I don't know. Maybe I will work on the leaf more. This is meant to shorten it up a lot, but that seems to have not properly worked. I'm going to go do another test fit. I wanted to see, one, if this is going to hit where it's supposed to. Two, if removing that chunk of steel will cause this to fall on its own. I really want to do this without a spring, if possible. And three, to see if this is still way too long and sticking out to the sidewalk too much. So, I will be right back. So far so good. The weight is about right, though I did not straighten out this part, the back part here, so it rubs a little bit, which makes a bit of a problem. So I'm going to straighten that out, bend this back slightly, and then bend this down so it doesn't go straight out into the park, into the walkway. Going to take my chisel out and give it a little leaf vein pattern and work a little bit on my swedge block to give it a slight bit of curve to it. Well, it's not very deep, of course. After I give it a little polish, some of that might disappear, but I don't know. It gives an idea. Leaves of some kind. Now to just use this spoon divot here and give it a little bit of shape. I'm letting it cool down a bit because I don't really want to alter the shape too much. I just want to add a little bit of a curve here. Something to give it that little kind of almost, well, the idea is to give it a little organic flair. Without knocking out too much of my pattern. I wonder if there's enough heat left to give this a little bit of a twist. Nope, not like that. I think I want this bent down just a little bit more. A little more of an arch in here. Too far. Okay. We're calling that end done. I'm going to quench that and we'll start on the other end that I can't seem to, is stuck in my glove. So what are we doing over here? We are removing our ability to stab ourselves in painful spots. Hopefully. Since this whole thing is pretty much gravity fed, I don't want to remove too much. Ideally, I would rather just keep this end fat and keep all of the material here, so that it will continue to fall on its own. I need to cut a little bit out of there with the grinder to make it work quite the way I want it. Well, let's see if we can get a little bit more on that, maybe. That might be as close as I can get to a round edge before polishing it. Okay, so this side bends that way, this side is mostly straight. That's good. One more test fit. It's not closing quite enough, which is causing a surprisingly large amount of problems. So this time I'm going to give it a tweak on each end and we'll see how it goes from there. All right. Cause that to hit up a little bit higher. Switch our grip. Adjust you to match, theoretically. Nope, warm that up more. This is not going to work, is it? Nope. Too much, maybe. Yeah, it looks like it actually did what I wanted it to. Though maybe a little too well. So if that's coming at more of an angle backwards, this one needs to come at a higher angle up. Because right now it would be basically smacking into the end of the latch. See if those two changes together will allow it to work the way I want it to. We'll see. Hooray, it worked. These have already been cleaned once, but I've touched them since then. So I'm going to give them another little rub down with some isopropyl alcohol here. As you can see, they are shinier, but not completely, well, perfectly clean. Part of that is just a case of diminishing returns for me. I know that, well, from what I've read, part of this wax and oil blackening process is to heat them up again. Like just to a point that they get warm enough to melt the oil and wax onto them, but not so much that they get more scale, but they will get a bit of a layer of oxidization. That'll make them roughly a uniform blue-black kind of color. That's the thought process anyway. As these have all sorts of colors all over them. We have some temper colors from the grinding process of cleaning them up. You know, like on the back of that leaf there, it has kind of a golden brownish color. It may or may not show well. And of course, they're touching my anvil, touching my greasy gloves, so I don't know how well all of that's going to work anyway. But at least I can feel like I tried to do something anyway. The magic trick. Wow. Get some of those little bits in there. It's not quite mortar and pestle, but what happens? Just waiting for me to stab too hard, trying to break up this cold. And do exactly that. Well, bugger. I was wondering how well this hand-me-down teacup would work. I guess we won't find out. Whoops. I saw a little fleck of green go in there. There you are. Oh, several little flecks of green. And there are quite a few more that I didn't see go in there. Goodness. The way I understand it is you warm it up until it's almost glowing, which I went a little too far because part of it did end up glowing. Oh yeah, whoops. Okay, that is way too hot for a sock. A little polyester sock of all things, I bet. I'm probably just painting it with this gross smelling thing. Oh crap. Second question, how does paper towel fare? Smoky. Okay. just rubbing hot. Interesting. Okay. No hill for a climber. We just do this like I do my jewelry. My jewelry, the Mjolnir that I'm wearing. That's literally all I've done this on so far. As it melts and runs all over. Whee! Coats my anvil. And apparently that end was still hot enough that the oil flamed up on me. That was kind of a fun thing, but that could be scary in the right circumstance. Okay, well, so far this is a gigantic mess. Which tells me I'm not doing it right. But now that we have her nice and coated and dropped on the floor, don't do this over the anvil. I'm betting the next project I do is going to be all sorts of flammable. But anyway, now that we have that oiled up, we go fire it up again. I tucked it in pretty much just until it flamed up a little bit. I have to say, it doesn't look too terribly shabby. Well, now it does. I suspect I simply had it way too hot that first time. Which is good to know for the next half, yeah? But this has a nice dark color to it. Oh yeah, for what it's worth, most people don't use straight beeswax. They mix it with like a boiled linseed oil or other oil. I don't have any boiled linseed oil, so I am using straight beeswax. But I'm going to set this one aside for now and work on the next half. We have kind of a blackened piece of something. This one is a little trickier for a multitude of reasons. Let's see if I can do this without setting fire to everything again. I've melted the beeswax, I might as well try to use it. Alright, well, no spontaneous flames as of yet. That's a good sign. Smoky as can be. Woo. Yeah, it's still just kind of burning that away. Whoa, there we go. Yeah, where it gets a little fluid and starts rolling down. Boy, none of that. And again, dripping all over my anvil because, you know, why not? Doing its thing, maybe. How much have, so that's kind of pretty, how much has this cooled down? Alright, yeah, a little bit of that's starting to rub off. You can really tell it's doing something when the that surface oxidation of the temper colors gets covered by this sort of brownish, brassy little color. See what happens when we go tuck this end back in the flame. Parts around this middle here didn't get quite as nice as the other did. But back to a break. I did not give that very long at all. It didn't even flare up on me. There we go. We'll call that fire blackened. We'll move that to a brick, leave it alone for a while. Well, I suppose I had to throw them both on the ground, huh? Wouldn't be fair otherwise. Yeah, it's really interesting to me how quick this wipes off. It is just burnt wax on top of it. I suppose that makes sense, all things considered. The times I burned myself, this wax is really bad. Frickin' wax. Anyway. Oh, for what it is, I think that's as good as it's gonna get for now. I feel like I did a much better job on the much simpler surface, for what that's worth. But after those sit for a while, I am planning to put a little clear coat on them and see how that interacts with the wax. But for now, why don't we do something irresponsible? See what happens. Well, that's kind of boring. I was hoping for some flames and fun stuff. Barely even getting the wax melted off. On the other hand, I probably don't have to worry about it catching fire every time I try to do something with it. So that's a plus. If all goes well with the clear coat, I will see you at the gate as we put it up for the last time. So, the coating seems to have stuck, with different levels of success based on piece. I feel this one came out pretty well. Nice, simple, big, flat planes and whatnot. With the wax coat on it, I treated that as treated it as though it were treated metal. There we go. And I did end up putting about 3 coats of the clear coat on it. They say about 2, normally 1 to 2, 3 to 4 for raw metal, so I split the difference and did 3, just in case. And it feels pretty nice and has that blackened burnt beeswax look. This other one, the dropping latch part, I did something a little different in that I brushed that with our brass brush to give it a little brownish goldish color, and then blackened the front of it. But I believe where it was sitting has caused it to rub a little bit, so it's not quite as pretty on that side as it is on that side, and even that's not as pretty as that piece. I don't know if it was just the combination or just rubbing, whatever it was, but yeah, let's get them put up. Oh, and the hook. I mentioned cutting out a bit here. I did my best to not take too much out, but the intent on that is that when it slides down, it will hook so it can't pull out, because it will run into that and make a horrible sound. I've had a lot of those. This leaf made a lot more noise on the anvil to the camera than it did to my ears. But again, I had earmuffs on, so I didn't have to listen to it. Anyway, let's go get these up and see how it works. Just walking down the sidewalk here. Oh, what do we have? Oh, Oh. Oh, hey, we're being greeted by our little tripod dog. Poor Rita had osteosarcoma and needed her leg removed. Poor girl. Sorry, Schnoot. Show you on camera like that. Yeah, we are on. And the hook catches. A little hook that we ran into the bottom of that. So here's what we have. The bright shiny bolts kind of stand out and don't look so great. But compared to the existing furniture, I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it turned out quite well. Hooray! The latch works. I suppose I should say all's well that ends well. Our gate latch doesn't look too bad, and it works just like I would hope it would. This process is one that has taken much longer than it should have, and I feel my real takeaway from this project is that if you're planning to do something, don't tell yourself that you don't like this, or you're not good at this, or you're not looking forward to it. Just dig your heels in and get her done, because it's not going to be as bad as your brain is going to imagine for you. I lost so much time worrying about this and worrying about the measurements, worrying about how much effort it was going to be, worrying about how completely different it is from anything else I've done before or even really want to make. Wasted a bunch of time worrying about that. In the end, I just dug in, got it done, and it did not take too long at the forge. Also, if you're planning to work with these tiny little things in weird shapes, maybe get the proper tools for it. A little block would have been very nice. Yeah, so it goes. Anyway, please like if you like. Don't if you didn't. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this whole endeavor and ordeal. And as always, have a wonderful day.